Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning, and we have an exciting show in store for you. A little bit later on in the broadcast, we're going to learn all about the upcoming Community Health Expo, so you won't want to miss that. That's in the 7 o'clock hour. Boy, do we have a lot of updates. A lot of stories to bring to you, breaking late last night. First, Steve writes in and says, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Steve. What lies has Trump told? He has done everything and more than he promised he would do. Closed borders, lower taxes, more jobs in the future than any Democrat could ever create that aren't government jobs. That, thankfully, have been removed. Over $17 trillion of investment back into the country. Promises made, promises kept. Not lip service with no action to meet the lies of future promises that never occur. Safer streets and criminals removed. Lowest homicide rates since 1900. If we return to the job market of back in the 70s, it means less people relying on government programs and better financial possibilities. Only Democrat-run states will feel the reverse effects of this promising future. It is proven by the people and businesses literally fleeing Democrat-run states. Yeah, another major one just left California to go to Texas. Legacy media doing its best to cover the mess created by Democrats, but it can't be hidden any longer. Cause and effect. Don't look at what is currently occurring. Look at what happened to cause everything that is happening. Thank you very much, Steve, for kicking off our broadcast this morning. A couple of breaking stories. Actor Robert Carradine, best known for his role perhaps in Revenge of the Nerds, or you may remember him when he was very young in The Cowboys with John Wayne. He passed away on Sunday at the age of 71. It is being reported that he took his own life after battling bipolar disorder, according to his brother and fellow actor, Keith Carradine. Carradine was part of the legendary acting family, including his father John and brothers Keith and David. So Robert Carradine, knowing him from Revenge of the Nerds and others, but that's perhaps his most famous role, passing away at the age of 71. Okay, under reporting, and we're going to start now with sports, a couple of quick sports things. I know we have some boxing fans out there. We've talked boxing on this program in the past. Here, I guess, was a fight that was asked for over 20 years ago. Then 11 years ago, it happened, and it was sort of a dud. But now, according to reports, 11 years after the so-called, quote, fight of the century, Floyd Mayweather Jr. is scheduled to fight Manny Pacquiao in September for a rematch. They'll be fighting at the Sphere in Las Vegas. In a sequel that literally nobody asked for, the soon-to-be 49-year-old Mayweather will go up against the 47-year-old Manny Pacquiao in a fight that probably should be staged inside a retirement community, not a concert venue, writes Michael Dorte. The first fight, all the way back on May 2nd, 2015, remains the most lucrative bout in boxing history. 4.4 million pay-per-view buys, more than $600 million generated, a gate north of $72 million. It was also for many a disappointment. You recall Mayweather ran around. Pacquiao was dealing with some type of shoulder issue. Mayweather, who officially retired in 2017 after fighting UFC star Conor McGregor, is a crossover spectacle and has never truly left the spotlight. Exhibitions, global tours, social media flexes. The man understands commerce better than most promoters. He'll first take a spring tune-up against Mike Tyson, designed to remind everyone that money still moves the needle. Pacquiao's road back has been grittier. He fought not that long ago. Anyway, for those of you, is there anybody out there that's excited about this? Floyd Mayweather Jr. to fight Manny Pacquiao in that rematch in September in Las Vegas. Get your tickets now. The last one was so disappointing. And even that happened 10 years too late. And that was 11 years ago. Oh, that's a good point. In my mind, Manny won that fight. I think if you base it on being the aggressor, he was definitely the aggressor. Floyd Mayweather did his typical, and I mean, Floyd lost a lot of fights, in my opinion, where the judges gave it to him. I think De La Hoya beat him. But Mayweather became adept at running and avoiding any punches, and that's exactly what happened with Manny. So you're right. I would agree with you on that. Are you excited about seeing the rematch? Okay, now I'm sure you heard by now the U.S. women's hockey team has declined to attend Trump's State of the Union. We are sincerely grateful for the invitation extended to our gold medal winning U.S. women's hockey team and deeply appreciative of the recognition of their extraordinary achievement. Due to the timing and previously scheduled academic and professional commitments following the games, the athletes are unable to participate. They were honored to be included and are grateful for the acknowledgement. Now we know he also invited the men's Olympic hockey team. If you heard that phone call that he made after they won, he said, "We're giving the State of the Union speech on Tuesday night. I could send a military plane or something, but if you would like to, it's the coolest night." Many of the teammates were heard saying absolutely, that they were in. It is unclear if the team will attend. Trump also suggested that the men's team could visit the White House on Wednesday. We'll just have some fun. We have medals for you guys. I must tell you, you have to bring the women's team. You do know that. If he didn't invite the women, Trump joked, quote, I do believe I probably would be impeached, okay? Now, they claim that the Team USA hockey hero, it is being reported, Jack Hughes, is super excited to meet Trump after the women's team snubbed the State of the Union invite. Hughes said to the Daily Mail, "We're so proud to be representing the U.S., and when you get the chance to go to the White House and meet the president, we're proud to be Americans, and that's so patriotic. No matter what your views are, we're super excited to go to the White House tomorrow and be a part of that." Hughes shrugged off the backlash the men's team received by some for accepting the White House invitation. Now, this comes after I reported to you yesterday. Huffington Post said it is a weird feeling, a turnoff, if you will, hearing people chant USA, seeing the patriotism at the hockey games. Hughes said, "Everyone is giving us backlash for all the social media stuff today. People are so negative out there, and they're just trying to find a reason to put people down and make something out of almost nothing." He dismissed any suggestion there was tension between the men and women's team in light of the different responses to Trump's invitation. They've got busy schedules, too. Our relationship with them over the course of being in the athletes' village, I think we are so tight with that group. Now, we're going to talk about Gavin Newsom a little bit later on, but Gavin Newsom's wife, Jennifer Siebel Newsom, tried to make a joke at Trump's expense after the women's hockey team turned down the invite. Trump jokingly told the men's team he would be impeached if he didn't extend an invite to them, as I mentioned. Siebel Newsom said, "Clearly they prefer arenas where women are actually respected as they should." Okay. Andrea Pizer says that this Jack Hughes has cemented his place as an Olympic and American hero. Okay. Long after the America haters become a footnote of history, the voice of a single athlete, proud and strong, will resonate. Jack Hughes spreads a message not of hate, but of love. Love of country, love of each other. Heck, he even had kind words for his Canadian opponents. We can all learn something precious from the admirable men who won for Team USA. Now, again, the Huffington Post quoted therapists to explain the discomfort you're feeling from fans chanting USA. But the majority saw that win as respectful, patriotic. And there you are. Okay, a couple other breaking stories. A federal judge blocked the release of Jack Smith's report on classified documents case against Trump. A South Florida federal judge permanently blocked the Justice Department Monday from publicly divulging former special counsel Jack Smith's report dealing with President Trump's hoarding of sensitive national security information at Mar-a-Lago. Fort Pierce U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon, a Trump appointee, went after Smith and his team for their brazen stratagem in compiling the report after she ruled in 2024 that he was unconstitutionally named special counsel in the case. To say his chronology represents at minimum a concerning breach of the spirit of the dismissal order is an understatement, if not an outright violation of it. The court need not countenance this brazen stratagem or effectively perpetrate the special counsel's breach of this court's own order. So the federal judge blocking the release of the Jack Smith report. Okay, we're going to give you an update, quick update on Mexico. I would like to hear your thoughts. You're staying up for the State of the Union tonight. State of the Union is a tough one for me because it starts so late and there's so much of the clapping and so much of the pomp and circumstance that it ends up, well, I think last year's wasn't a State of the Union technically. It was a joint session. And I think that lasted an hour and 39 minutes, Trump's speech. So it's normally something I end up watching in the morning just because otherwise I'm thinking about how late it'll be before it gets over. But your thoughts, are you going to watch it? We'll give you some, maybe if we get a chance, what some people have to say about what to expect from the State of the Union, which is always kind of a little hokey, but we'll talk about that. A couple of quick updates on Mexico, a couple updates. Oh, yes, if you're not aware, there is that partial government shutdown still ongoing. And then Gavin Newsom and that very uncomfortable, what some are calling kind of a racist speech that he gave. We've got a couple of different opinions on that. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in case you missed it. Already 2 mentions of Gavin Newsom. A viewer writing in, haha, Newsom's joke was so funny I forgot to laugh. I haven't heard that in a while. But yes, that was his wife, though. But yeah, I agree with you. We will talk about Mexico very quickly. Then Gavin Newsom. What else do we have? Yesterday, did you see that moving event at the White House honoring the Angel families? My goodness, that was tough. That was difficult to get through with a dry eye, let me tell you. We also have maybe a little bit here about the media and their bias against Trump. But enough of this housekeeping. Let's take a short break, and then we'll get right back to it here on Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
You have cabin fever? Are you dreaming of warmer weather? Now's the time to start enjoying the benefits of hot water therapy during Hesselson's Cabin Fever Reliever Hot Tub Sale. With 0% interest financing and additional sales incentives, Hesselson's makes it easier to start making every day better today. Huge savings on odds and end models, 0% financing, locally owned and operated since 1955. Why wait? Now is the best time to buy that hot tub you've always wanted during Hesselson's Cabin Fever Reliever Hot Tub Sale going on now. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Tired of the cold weather? Sunny days are closer than you think. Get ready now for fun later with a boat, camper, or RV loan from Servview Credit Union at just 5.99% APR for up to 10 years. Adventure is waiting. Apply today.
Allegiance from Elmira to Myrtle Beach starts May 22nd, 2026. Whether it's a weekend escape or a week in the sun, Myrtle Beach is closer than ever. Non-stop to sun, sand, and seaside days. From takeoff to toes in the sand, your coastal getaway starts right here at Elmira Corning Regional. Mornings on the boardwalk, afternoons on the golf course, and evenings with oceanfront dining or a flight away with Allegiant's new direct flight. Starts May 22nd, 2026. Book now at AllegiantAir.com.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We'll see some sunshine as we head through the day, winds staying light, but temperature staying cool. So we top off in the mid-20s. It's a good 10 degrees below average. In the overnight hours, additional snow chances possible, bottoming out in the teens. Temperatures will be rising above freezing on Wednesday with lingering snow transitioning to rain, and then another shot of snow is possible as we look at Thursday and Thursday night. After
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street Corning. A comment from a viewer. Didn't I hear the uncooperative anti-American Democrats said they were going to boycott the State of the Union speech? I have not heard that. There's normally some that boycott. I haven't heard of a mass boycott, but I could have just missed it because it's not really newsworthy anymore. The last couple times with Trump, you have a few that do, or you had, was it Al Green that walked out or was actually escorted out. So I don't even think it's newsworthy anymore if they are, but there may be some. So in Mexico, Trump quietly got Mexico to hand over 100 cartel leaders, including El Mencho's brother, before the raid. The Justice Department said many of the 92 defendants released to the Americans had U.S. extradition requests that were not honored during the Biden administration. Quote, as President Trump has made clear, cartels are terrorist groups, and the Department of Justice is devoted to destroying cartels and transnational gangs, said Attorney General Pam Bondi. We will prosecute these criminals to the fullest extent of the law in honor of the brave law enforcement agents who have dedicated their careers and in some cases given their lives to protect innocent people from the scourge of violent cartels. We learned that they tracked the drug lord by following his lover before the deadly raid. Special forces hunted down El Mencho after he met with a girlfriend in a secluded forest cabin. There you go. That's one way to do it. I think they also followed around one of his right-hand people. It was at a secluded love nest in a colonial town. Early on Sunday, a team of elite Mexican Army and National Guard special operations soldiers descended on the community of Tapalpa in western Mexico, where Mencho, the head of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, remained holed up with his after his girlfriend left. The soldiers chased Mencho and several bodyguards, surrounding them deep into the nearby woods. Okay, and now there's a lot of tourists hunkered down. I guess yesterday, in all the chaos, gangs opened fire on a prison and rammed the entrance with 23 inmates escaping. Tourists that were there are hunkering down, staying in their hotel rooms. There's no flights leaving. This is just a quick update, don't worry. Stephen Collinson says President Trump had put Mexico on notice. Go after the country's powerful drug lords or he would. His long-demanded crackdown arrived when the country's most wanted narco kingpin died after a shootout. But the unrest that erupted after the attempt to capture El Mencho turned bloody, and it carried a warning. Trump's zest for violent enforcement could sow turmoil far worse than this weekend's gangland backlash that left Americans stranded in tourist hotspots and buses and businesses burning. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum's move against the leader of the hugely powerful Jalisco New Generation cartel, which was aided by U.S. intelligence, represented a hard policy turn following a year of intense pressure from Trump. Anyway, you get the idea. Stephen Collinson of CNN essentially says that there's political risks for Trump, which I think is a prime example of what CNN and others think of Trump, because Trump is thinking about protecting American citizens, ending what he has deemed a terror, and rightfully so, terrorist organization with the drug cartels. He is thinking about public safety, and all Stephen Collinson can think of is how can I put this together in a piece that is negative towards Trump and Trump's decision-making. Just something to keep in mind. I wanted to mention that to you real quick. Okay, so yes, we are in, we're going to talk about Gavin Newsom next, but we are in a shutdown. Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania, defended the U.S. Coast Guard for continuing to work while not getting paid during the DHS shutdown, noting that America loses as a result of this shutdown. Now, he has become somehow the only reasonable Senate Democrat willing to talk about public safety, willing to show his support for Israel. In a post on X, Fetterman shared a screenshot of an article from the Oregonian about how a Coast Guard crew had saved a 25-year-old man who had been on a rafting trip and had gotten lost in the woods for several days. Fetterman said the Coast Guard saved an injured man from the wilderness and isn't getting paid. I voted to pay those heroes. Shutting DHS down had no functionality on ICE or any reforms. It only hurts our workers and America loses. Fetterman's post comes as the U.S. Coast Guard is continuing to carry out duties such as responding to oil spills and hazardous chemical releases, as well as conducting law enforcement and security patrols. Per Stars and Stripes, under federal law, Coast Guard members will be reimbursed for lost earnings. Coast Guard operations are covered by expected provisions of the federal budget. Service members must continue to perform their duties even without pay. Under federal law, they are reimbursed for lost earnings. Unlike other uniformed services, the Coast Guard is not part of the Defense Department and falls under the Department of Homeland Security. The Coast Guard is focusing on those operations authorized by law that provide for national security or that protect life and liberty, said Lieutenant Crystal Wolf. Now, one thing, because we know it affects the Coast Guard, TSA, well, the Trump administration is escalating the pressure on Senate Democrats over the partial government shutdown in these negotiations, because they're at a standstill right now. The partial government shutdown, which is only affecting the Department of Homeland Security, entered its second week just yesterday. So far, the impacts of the shutdown have been minimal, but the pain could be coming soon as the agency activates, quote, emergency measures while the shutdown drags on. DHS announced over the weekend it would be making tweaks to some TSA functions that could lead to longer wait lines and wait times, for passengers and lawmakers. This is what's important, lawmakers alike. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem said shutdowns have real-world consequences, not just for the men and women of DHS and their families who go without a paycheck, but it endangers our national security. The American people depend on this department every day, and we are making tough but necessary workforce and resource decisions to mitigate the damage inflicted by these politicians. The agency announced that for now, TSA PreCheck, which those politicians love because they travel so frequently, would stay operational after a back and forth over whether to continue the program during the shutdown. The program is used by more than 20 million people to speed up wait times at airports across the country. However, courtesy escorts for members of Congress have been suspended. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So courtesy escorts for members of Congress have been suspended. At this time, TSA PreCheck remains operational with no change for the traveling public. As staffing constraints arise, TSA will evaluate on a case-by-case basis and adjust operations accordingly. Some Republicans believe it will take that kind of disruption to get Democrats to reverse course, meaning shutdowns and delays. Nothing's going to happen here until flights get shut down, right? When TSA workers stop showing up, said Senator Rick Scott. When the Democrats, can't fly, then they'll give in. I mean, they don't care because they're being paid. Ooh. Senate Democrats, led by Chuck Schumer and the White House, are gridlocked in the ongoing back and forth, as you know. So there we go, an update on something you may have forgotten about. All right, we got to take a short break. When we come back, getting your opinion on Newsom. Some saying this is almost disqualifying for a presidential run. Now, there's been a lot of, I think, gaffes in the past by Governor Newsom. But this is one that's, we're going to try to do our very best not to keep using the word cringe or cringeworthy, because I know that's been so overused as of late. But I'm not sure how else to describe it. So we'll talk about that when we return. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Suburban Propane is here for your residential and industrial propane needs. Serving the surrounding area for over 95 years, we take pride in our reliable delivery service with 24/7, 365 emergency service answered by company representatives. Call today to start your Suburban Propane service.
Visit our page at Big Fox News for news, local events, and more. Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
It's the Jeep President's Day sales event at Chilson Wilcox. Enjoy huge savings on the most awarded SUV brand ever, Jeep. Jeep loyalty means bigger savings for current Jeep and Stellantis owners. Save $8,300 on a 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee. From Wranglers to Grand Cherokees, every Jeep is priced to move, but these savings won't last forever, and it's Ram Truck Month too. Save $10,500 on a 2026 Ram 1500 and $9,000 on a 2026 Ram 2500. The Jeep President's Day sales event and Ram Truck Month happening now at Chilson Wilcox.
United Way fights for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in every community. Will you?
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. A comment from a viewer. Fetterman is the only Democrat I could possibly vote for if he could run for governor of New York State. The man encompasses common sense, cares about this country, and is open-minded, unlike any other of the socialists that comprise the remainder of his party. Okay, so Governor Newsom, widely believed to have White House ambitions, and that's putting it very lightly, is facing blowback over a viral clip that critics say portrays him talking down to black voters while discussing his poor test scores and reading ability. Newsom told Mayor Andre Dickens in Georgia, why he's in Georgia, I don't know. He said, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. And and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got a 940. Literally a 960 SAT guy. You've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech. Maybe the wrong business to be in. Wow, that. Nicki Minaj, the rapper who is now a big Trump supporter, says his way of bonding with black people is to tell them how stupid he is and that he can't read. Do you want to know the craziest part of this footage that will haunt him forever? He's literally slowing his speech down and talking in a sporadic cadence. I can't believe this is real, said other Twitter users. This is disqualifying, said Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Run this ad over and over in 2027, 2028. Outkick founder Clay Travis said California Governor Gavin Newsom tells a black audience he's just like them, got a 960 SAT, and he can't read. Will any Democrats planning to run in 2028 hit him on this? They should. It's a moronic statement. Mark Levin posting, if any Republican said that what this moron Newsom said, their political career would be over. Now, then he came back, and we know his shtick is to attack Trump, to try to act as if he is Trump in some weird way. Well, he went on an expletive-filled rant over what he called fake blanking outrage. He said, you didn't give a blank about the President of the United States of America, posting an ape video of President Obama, and then he went on to calling African nations blanks. But you were going to call me racist for talking about my lifelong struggle with dyslexia? Taking the victim road, I see. Spare me your fake blinking outrage. Okay, that's the way he responded to it. That was his... I don't know. I don't know how you try to play the victim in this. I mean, talking about it was very reminiscent of Joe Biden in many of his very poor performances. They'd say, well, he had a stutter when he was a child. And you go, what does that have to do with his horrible debate performance, or even before that, some of the speeches he gave and the confusion? In this case, I guess Newsom struggled with dyslexia, and there can't be any criticism of him and the way that he talked to that audience. Senator Ted Cruz accused Newsom of expressing the soft bigotry of low expectations. And I mentioned some of the other comments. So then later, and this is quite a back and forth. So, and we don't have to spend too much time on this, but I mean, this, like many said, this is somewhat disqualifying, or it goes to show you the struggle they're going to have in 2028. He's kind of, he's in that place where he's untouchable. You know, it reminds me of a little bit of Jasmine Crockett, who should still be outraged about the Stephen Colbert thing. It reminds me of AOC after Munich when she gave her speech. She's not used to getting pushback or criticism. Neither is Gavin Newsom. So when they do receive some criticism or say, can you at least explain this, they have to go out onto a tangent like this where he plays the victim. Last week we had AOC complaining to the New York Times, who were, did their job for the Democrats and sent out basically a press release praising her. And then she went on and complained about the coverage as well. So I guess that's what Newsom is doing here. So yesterday, Trump claimed on True Social, wow, Gavin Newsom just dropped out of the presidential race. So Newsom's press team quickly hit back, wow, the president is sundowning harder than usual tonight. And this all started with that back and forth between Trump and Newsom's wife, which was, I already read to you. I don't want to, it wasn't funny. I don't even know what it was. Earlier this week, Newsom suggested he would not make a bid for the Oval Office if his 4 children and wife were against it, so that must be what that is in reference to. Asked what would stand in his way. There are 5 of them. It would be done as a family, and it will be done as a unit. It will be done as a partnership. All right, anyway, we don't have to go through why. But yeah, anyway. So President Trump tweeting that out last night. Gavin Newsom did not like it. But Daniel McCarthy, do we have time here? Daniel McCarthy says Gavin Newsom won't be the Democrats' 2028 presidential nominee unless he wins a significant share of the African-American vote. So how is he courting the African-American vote? Promoting his new memoir in Atlanta on Sunday, the California governor decided to form a connection to the largely black city by boasting about his poor SAT scores and difficulty reading. Newsom suffers from dyslexia, but he obviously wasn't assuming he was addressing a room full of voters with the same debilitation. He just looked around and concluded this audience wouldn't have high academic aspirations. How insulting, said Nina Turner, a former Democrat state senator in Battleground, Ohio, and now a fellow with the Institute on Race, Power, and Political Economy. We mentioned Nicki Minaj. Even a tactful Democratic consultant said she was disappointed by Newsom. He's a great wordsmith, so I was kind of bothered by the way that he said it, said Amisha Cross. Luckily for Newsom, some of his rivals for the 2028 nomination have even less rapport with black voters. Polls often register Pete Buttigieg's African-American support at 0%. The likes of Buttigieg are no threat to Newsom, no matter how many gaffes he makes. But his fellow Californian, Kamala Harris, is another story. It's true her 2020 campaign didn't even make it to the first primary. It imploded in December of 2019. But Harris failed upward, getting chosen as Biden's running mate and then replacing him without a competition 4 years later. Now she is Governor Newsom's roadblock. The 2028 race isn't far away. In about a year, all the contenders on the Democrat side will be clear, and maybe they already are. Newsom and Harris have serious liabilities, not least the deteriorating condition of the blue state they both call home. Does the whole country want to wind up like today's California? Do businesses and families fleeing Newsom's state for the freedom and lower taxes of Texas and Florida want the governor's ruinous recipe attempted nationwide? Yet Democrats looking for an alternative to the California scheme represented by Harris and Newsom have little to choose from. Pennsylvania is the nation's most important battleground state and close enough culturally and economically to other Rust Belt states like Ohio and Michigan that a successful Pennsylvania politician might have the right stuff to sweep the Electoral College. But Josh Shapiro, the Keystone State's Democratic governor, has problems of his own with one of the party's key constituents, critics of Israel. And remember, that is, as Van Jones said, the Democrat Party is now marbled with anti-Semitism. So remember, Josh Shapiro, Newsom, Harris, whoever has to win, well, in theory, I guess, has to win the primary. Shapiro is Jewish, and nowadays that itself, and this is so sad, is a problem for some in the Democrat base. According to the Washington Post, Shapiro reveals in his forthcoming memoirs that Harris's campaign pressed him on whether he had dual loyalties when vetting him as possible VP pick. Harris thought she could walk a fine line 2 years ago, hanging on to the votes of the anti-Israel left, then storming the streets and college campuses in protest against the war in Gaza, while maintaining the Democrats' longtime grip on the Jewish vote. The Democrat National Committee's autopsy of the campaign concludes she failed. Progressive voters punished Harris because they didn't think she and Biden were hard enough on Israel. The DNC isn't making the report public, but the word got out. The party's at war with itself over Israel, as younger and more progressive Democrats turn increasingly anti-Zionist and at times openly anti-Semitic. A generational shift is irreversible. This is the rising character of the Democratic Party, and the 2028 contenders will be forced to choose a side. Can Newsom court Jewish voters any more deftly than black voters? Democrats hope the Republicans' own infighting will save them. President Trump himself has asked Tucker Carlson to stop going after Israel to no avail. The online right isn't yet the force at the ballot box that the Democrats' young activists are, but it threatens to alienate one of the GOP's electoral mainstays, pro-Israel evangelical Christians. With the 2028 election, will it come down to which party offends its voters more? The Democrats are off to an impressive start, with Newsom's backhanded attempt at relatability and the party's fear of releasing its own analysis of how it lost last time. As rough as this year's midterms might be, Republicans are well positioned for 2028, if only they can avoid going to war with themselves. We had a couple other quick things here about Gavin Newsom, and then we're going to wrap up that because we've got a lot more to talk about. Don't forget, coming up in the next hour, we'll be hearing all about the Community Health Expo that is coming up on tomorrow's program. Get your questions in because we have Steuben County Sheriff Jim Allard, fan favorite. He's going to be joining us, so make sure you get your questions in, if you don't mind, ahead of time. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Kyle just made a decision that would change his whole world.
Hey, you're sober? You drive.
Kyle just made a decision that would change his whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over.
It's tax time, and Current Power Sports is here to help your refund go further. For the month of February, we're covering the sales tax on any new CF Moto machine purchase, plus select accessories. That means big savings on machines built to work hard, ride far, and handle anything you could throw at them. Why pay more than you have to? Let us cover the tax. Stop by Current Power Sports in Wellsboro, Pennsylvania or Pine City, New York, and save big on your next CF Moto. Limitations apply. See store for details.
Whether our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We'll see some sunshine as we head through the day, winds staying light, but temperature staying cool. So we top off in the mid-20s. It's a good 10 degrees below average. In the overnight hours, additional snow chances possible, bottoming out in the teens. Temperatures will be rising above freezing on Wednesday with lingering snow transitioning to rain, and then another shot of snow is possible as we look at Thursday and Thursday night. After that,
the Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to some viewer comments. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. Newsom needs to step down. He can't even run California, let alone run for president. And then he cuts down a person of color? Just ridiculous. Thank you very much, Mark. Comment from a different viewer. Morning, Frank. Well, good morning. Newsom should be a poster boy along with Cortez for what is wrong in America and the Democrats in general. Thank you. Coming from a different viewer, no wonder Newsome thinks California is doing great. He is reading the numbers backwards. And finally, there's something about Newsome that I just don't like, other than he's a Democrat. I can't put my finger on why I don't like him. Maybe it's his Hollywood-styled hair and fake smile. He, like all closed-door Democrats, seem untrustworthy. Well, I heard someone saying, I thought it was perfect, he's kind of out of central casting for one of two different kind of characters in the movie. One is the Wall Street villain, right? That Wall Street stock market villain in a movie in the 80s. He'd be that perfect villain. Or there's also the crowd that believes he's kind of like that stereotypical rich, spoiled, polo shirt wearing college student in the movie that plays the bad guy. Maybe he's a frat president or something like that, and he's the evil one too. He's kind of a mix of both of those. So I understand your unease at Mr. Newsome. Now, Larry Elder, I don't know, does Larry Elder still have his radio broadcast? Yeah, still had a talk radio show. Author of 7 books. Larry Elder, and he was wasn't he a presidential candidate for like 10 seconds last go around? Gavin Newsom, he says, California's golden boy governor and likely 2028 White House hopeful, recently decided to, quote, bond with a black audience in Georgia. We know all about that. Now, this is only the most recent example from the standard left-wing playbook on how to relate to black people. Take Joe Biden's exchange in 2020 with the radio host Charlemagne. Quote, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. Remember when Biden said that? This was vintage Biden, the self-proclaimed arbiter of blackness, gatekeeping racial identity like a bouncer at a nightclub. And we don't have to go through every time that Biden made these, because it was a lot. And Bill Clinton did. Boy, Larry Elder's piece, I can't read them all, but Larry Elder's piece is at New York Post, and he's going through the history, whether it's Bill Clinton, Biden. For decades, Biden fabricated his narrative as a civil rights hero. He claimed he desegregated movie theaters and restaurants in Wilmington, Delaware, that he was arrested trying to visit the imprisoned Nelson Mandela in apartheid South Africa, and that he was, quote, raised in the black church. None of this was true, of course, but was offered up as street cred to black voters. Never mind how he based his opposition to court-ordered busing on his fear his children, you remember at the time, would attend schools in a racial jungle. Remember he said that. And again, we don't have to go through each example of this, but Democrat politicians lecture black people about systemic racism while keeping them trapped in a system that determines the quality of their kids' education based on their zip codes. White and black liberal politicians often dumb down their language when addressing a black audience. You remember that, how awkward it was with Hillary Clinton. In the end, this benevolent bigotry isn't about uplift, it's about control, writes Larry Elder. Liberals relate by lowering the bar and pat themselves on the back for their embrace of diversity, equity, and inclusion. They promote policies like the welfare state, which includes, oh, this got cut off, which induces women to marry the government and men to abandon their moral obligations. As mentioned, they oppose school choice despite National Assessment of Educational Progress tests results showing over 80% of black 8th graders can neither read nor do math at grade levels. Then there's Gavin Newsom, whose draconian COVID policies caused kids in the Los Angeles Public School District to lose in-school education across 2 years. That will translate into lifetime earning losses. Newsom offers a black audience a warm hug while suggesting they cannot measure up and while pushing policies to keep it that way. That's Larry Elder. I thought it was a powerful piece. How much more do we want to talk about this? California's Post, remember the New York Post just opened the California Post. Nothing screams condescension, quite like telling your audience that you, despite being the governor of California, are a low achiever just like them. But that's exactly what Governor Newsom did. And then his response is to play the victim and say that he was just talking about his struggle with dyslexia. Spare me your fake, blanking outrage. Bottom line, the rest of us are tired of being called racist while Democrats get away with racist rants of their own. If the Democrats want to attack their rivals' policies, that's fine. That's fair game. But enough with the tedious lecturing on race while exploiting race for your own advantage. We are tired of it. You don't get to do this to us anymore. Not after Newsom's new low. So just to talk a little bit more about Newsom, we have a couple other, getting away from his comments there, but it's going to tie in with ICE and tie in, well, we'll continue with a bunch of other topics. I realize I'm running late. All right, keep those comments coming in. What do you think about the State of the Union tonight? Will you be watching it? Will you wait and watch it in the morning like I probably will? Also, don't forget tomorrow, Sheriff Allard will be on the program, so we'll recap the State of the Union, but we'll also have some time to talk with the sheriff, so get your questions in. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
More cars, lower prices. Simmons Rockwell. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at a Simmons Rockwell location near you, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.
It's the home of Tivity. Release your inner audio engineer. Create with the 3D printer. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine rentals. Or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to your local library today.
To them used to be. Before talking to 988.
I felt alone.
I thought seeing hard things was just part of the job. I thought that having a bad day at work meant I was failing. But then I connected with someone at 988.
A real person texted back. Someone listened without judgment.
Now I know. Now I know it's okay to let someone help me too.
And I'm stronger than I thought.
We hear you. Call, text, or chat 988.
Being a boy, well, I don't know anything different. I had a very successful career. Life was fast. I was preparing physically. I wasn't doing anything mentally. And then I got hurt. I dug into mental health. I wanted to be better as a person. I start my day with a workout. I live life 8 seconds at a time. Find a place to stop and just breathe. Love your
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. I was trying to compile all of our comments, and I ran late. All right, so let's go to this. Comment from a viewer. This is going to be our whole segment, I think. Just to be clear, if you don't have a recession after having record inflation, prices aren't going to come down. Bidenomics caused a record 9.1% inflation rate, which is why experts and economists predicted a recession during this Trump term. A good business sense and strong cabinet secretaries with good knowledge of economics have been the reason the administration was able to turn the country around without any type of recession. Everyone refuses to give credit where credit is due, COVID or not. Biden destroyed this country's economy when him, his son, and the people around him, including Obama, enriched themselves and lined their pockets. Anthony Fauci did too. He should be in prison, not walking around with all the money he made off of his dealing with Pfizer, Moderna, and the rest of Big Pharma. We finally have a president who cares more about the country and American citizens than he does about money. We finally have a leader who can't be bought or influenced. So within a year after inheriting the worst economy caused by Democratic policies, inflation is down, GDP is up, 401k funds are soaring, the stock market has broken countless records despite expert predictions, gas prices are down, job growth is up, and contrary to what Democrats swore was going to happen, no one has, quote, lost their rights. For example, everyone still has their First Amendment right to free speech. Democrats use that right every day to lie about our president, racist, Nazi, bigot, fascist, unhinged, incompetent, dictator, and now pedophile. They're only able to say these things because they have the First Amendment right to free speech. But this type of language sets up a permission structure for violence. They keep using these terms to turn the people against Trump. The racist narrative blew up in their face. The Nazi narrative caused 2 assassination attempts, at least. But Nazi lost its original sting because it's been said so much. So now in order to trigger that hardcore emotional reaction in their base again, now it's pedophile. This new terminology has now forced another mentally unstable leftist to do the unthinkable and try to take a shot at our president. So while Democrats are exercising their constitutional right to smear Trump, with the mainstream media reporting on every single false accusation made, this president will continue to be the most consequential president in modern history. And Democrats are afraid that if more people keep finding out how much better he is for this country, they may never get back in power again. Thank you very much. Jack says, very well put. Agree 100%. Well, thank you, Jack. Appreciate that. By the way, California, Gavin Newsom State, as he's on his book tour, allocating $35 million to support illegal immigrants amid Trump's mass deportation agenda. These funds are on top of funds the state already allocated to provide legal resources to those facing deportation. Newsom said in his press release, while the federal government targets hardworking families, California stands with them, uniting partners and funding local communities to help support their neighbors. The urgent need grows as the Trump administration accelerates mass detention, tramples due process, and funds authoritarian enforcement with over $170 billion. As the Trump administration chooses cruelty and chaos, California chooses community. So $35 million allocated to support illegal immigrants amid Trump's mass deportation agenda. I see out of New Jersey, the Democrat lawmakers in the New Jersey General Assembly have introduced legislation. I'm not even going to spell it out because then it gives the word, but it stands for blank ICE. So much like we have Gavin Newsom trying to make a name for himself by swearing and being crass, the Democrat lawmakers in New Jersey have actually come out and spelled it out in their act. The acronym spells out an unsubtle message, which would be blank ICE. The bill is sponsored by Assembly members Katie Brennan and Ravi Bala. The legislation would permit individuals to bring civil actions in state court over alleged violations of the U.S. Constitution in connection with immigration enforcement operations. Supporters say the measure is designed to increase accountability and strengthen protections for immigrant communities. It's just so nasty. Democrat Assemblyman Ravi Bala said, ICE has no place in our communities. When I was elected mayor of Hoboken, one of my first acts was passing a strong sanctuary city ordinance. How is something a strong sanctuary city ordinance? And interesting. Now the stakes are even higher, and it is an incumbent on all of us to use the power we have to keep our residents safe. These bills help our local law enforcement do their jobs properly while giving the state more tools to stop these raids from happening in the first place. A spokesman for the Department of Homeland Security said, politicians are laying blame at the feet of law enforcement instead of looking in the mirror at how they have fueled the hatred and violent attacks we are seeing against federal law enforcement officers. All right, we got to take a break, and then we're going to wrap up hour number one. Stay with us.
It's tax time, and Current Power Sports is here to help your refund go further. For the month of February, we're covering the sales tax on any new CF Moto machine purchase, plus select accessories. That means big savings on machines built to work hard, ride far, and handle anything you can throw at them. Why pay more than you have to? Let us cover the tax. Stop by Current Power Sports in Wellsboro, Pennsylvania, or Pine City, New York, and save big on your next CF Moto. Limitations apply. See store for details.
There have always been a few ready to fight and win. Since 1775, these few have been Marines, and they come from across this land to defend the future of our nation. This year, our Corps celebrates 250 years, and Marines are proud to serve this country, each other, and all that is still to come for America.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We'll see some sunshine as we head through the day, winds staying light, but temperature staying cool. As we top off in the mid-20s, it's a good 10 degrees below average. In the overnight hours, additional snow chances possible, bottoming out in the teens. Temperatures will be rising above freezing on Wednesday with lingering snow transitioning to rain, and then another shot of snow is possible as we look at Thursday and Thursday night. After that,
the Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, getting ready to wrap up hour number 1. Comment from a viewer, just a comment regarding elections. I'm sick and tired of upstate votes not being counted, given that in New York State, it's a winner-take-all state of the Electoral College. To correct this, either the entire country's elections at all levels should be relying on either the popular vote or electoral votes should be split in order to represent those who did not vote for the winning candidate. It's good. That's a fair point. We are a winner-take-all state. And then continuing, by the way, have you heard anything about upstate becoming the 51st state? Well, I've heard about it through the years. It doesn't seem like there's anything gaining traction, and I think it would be really tough. I think it'd be very, very tough to get through, to be honest, just being realistic about it. But I have not heard anything recently. Ken writes in, possibly you or your viewers can educate me on something. One of the Democrat apologists on Fox commented that both parties have played childish games during the State of the Union address and said that they did it during Biden's addresses. I have paid a lot of attention to politics over the past 20 plus years, and except for sitting on their hands while the Democrats clapped wildly after Biden was able to string 10 words together and a "you lie" shouted out after Obama lied, I don't remember the Republicans acting like the Democrats during the State of the Union. Was I sleeping during the Democrats' addresses? No, I don't either. I mean, yes, I remember, what was his name, Wilson? Yelling the "you lie" during Obama, and that was the end of the world. I don't remember anything specific during Biden, just, the normal not clapping and those type of things. But I remember seeing Nancy Pelosi, then Speaker of the House, ripping up Trump's speech and what still is one of the most childish things. And I know Democrats look at that as it's some big, I don't know, not signal, kind of like a historic moment. To me, she came off so petty and really, I think it made Trump's speech even more powerful. To upset a grown adult that way, I think it just showed that Trump won that. But that is one that's, I think, unsettling, just in how pathetic and childish it was. So that's a good point, Ken. I can't think of any that were too crazy. And maybe if viewers want to send in, give us examples. I'd love to hear it. We got quite a few other things to get to. Also in the next hour, we're going to be talking about the Community Health Expo, which is coming up very soon. So you won't want to miss that. As a matter of fact, it's coming up this Saturday from 10 till 2 at Gregg Elementary School here in Corning. We'll tell you all about it in the next hour. Stay with us. Hour number 1 is in the books. Hour number 2, moments away. We're going to talk a little bit. I don't know if I want to. Well, there's some New York State issues that I think we need to get to. We may kick off the hour with that. What were your thoughts about the Angel family ceremony? That was amazing, as Trump paid tribute to the victims of migrant crime. We'll tell you just a little bit about that probably at the top of the hour. Then we'll get to some New York issues. Talk a little bit about the State of the Union. Are you going to watch? What's your thoughts? All that, much more. Stay with us. Hour number 1 is through. Hard to believe it. We'll be back with hour number 2 after this.
Lease a brand new 2025 Subaru Forester Limited Hybrid all-wheel drive featuring heated steering wheel and power liftgate for only $329 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Subaru in Big Flats.
Having a safe home is essential to many aspects of our lives. From a sense of community and safety, to physical and mental health, to economic security and independence. Most homes in our communities are not accessible and are not designed to accommodate the changes that come with age, including the risk of falling. The Older Adults Home Modification Program helps reduce the risk of falls, improves safety, and increases accessibility and independence. Through this program, Rebuilding Together works with older adults to provide no-cost preventative home repairs, so our neighbors can safely age in place in the homes and communities they love. To learn more, visit rebuildingtogether.org/safeathome.
And we are back, frankly speaking, here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Hakem. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you so much for joining us. Some comments coming in. Mark writes in $35 million for illegals in California. Newscom is trying to buy votes, and the Democrats are digging for votes because they have a losing agenda. Thank you, Mark. Comment from a different viewer. Unlike Republicans who act like adults, Democrats are prone to acting like the children that they are. And that's in reference to the State of the Union, which is tonight. Well, I'm sure we'll see. I mean, what must have been last year, Al Green and that outburst. Ken writes in, if a Democrat president achieved the things Trump has during the first year of his second term, they would pass a law deeming him the king, dictator, czar for life, and force all Americans to kneel before him. Thank you, Ken. So yesterday was the Angel family tribute. I want to just mention this quick because it was, I'm sure you've seen it, it was amazing. The president was surrounded by family members, signed a proclamation designating February 22nd as Angel Family Day, honoring 2 survivors and 62 individuals killed by illegal immigrants. And, of course, recognizing Laken Riley. The reason I mention it, and we're not going to go through the whole event, but CNN is being called out for not covering this. They failed to provide live coverage of a ceremony honoring families of Americans killed by illegal immigrants. This, again, CNN. During the ceremony in the East Room, President Trump honored families who had lost loved ones, saying, throughout this hall, I am joined by heartbroken Americans who have lost parents, siblings, children, grandchildren, and treasured loved ones to the scourge of illegal immigration, led in by this past administration. We stand with the Angel families, many of whom continue to be left without justice, and we recommit to carrying out the largest mass deportation effort in our nation's history, getting the worst of the worst out of our country and putting a stop to the violence targeting the brave men and women of law enforcement. CNN failed to cover the event during the 11 a.m. hour when it occurred, prompting Deputy Assistant to the President and White House Deputy Communications Director Colleen Dorr to note, quote, President Trump is currently hosting a truly tear-jerking event, signing a proclamation honoring Angel families. And CNN's lack of coverage is sick, disgusting. Their mask is off. Shortly after the noon hour, the event was given an offhand mention by CNN reporter Kristen Holmes, who said, quote, you're hearing Trump give these speeches saying essentially, even just now in the event that he was doing with the Angel families, talking about how the media never gives him good coverage. He never gets credit for anything he's doing. That was all that they mentioned. Ironically, that was the quote that mentioned the Angel families. Carolyn Levitt tweeted out yesterday, CNN is a total disgrace. President Trump hosted a powerful event honoring Angel families who lost loved ones at the hands of illegal alien criminals and deadly drugs. But CNN refused to cover even 1 second of it. That's because CNN doesn't care about the victims of illegal alien crime. They pretend to be a news organization, but they refuse to cover anything that doesn't fit the left's narrative. This is why CNN is failing and losing all of their viewership. When NBC News senior White House correspondent Garrett Haake blasted Trump for attacking the media during the event, Levitt replied, the president was attacking the media because networks like you refuse to cover the stories of Angel families. Media bias isn't just revealed in the stories that make headlines, it's just as evident in the stories that never get told. Case in point, the media's complete disinterest in stories of Americans who were murdered by illegal aliens. So there's just a quick update. We can talk about, there's some celebrity attacks and things like that on Trump. I don't know. I don't know how bad I feel like talking about that. So, I forgot to mention yesterday as we get ready to talk about New York State issues, and maybe we could talk about that later on. I know it gets people worked up. You had Stephen King lying about Trump. You had Robert De Niro questioning Trump's masculinity, and then he started crying. It was really strange. About Bill Maher and Dennis Quaid, 2 different events, both saying if the left wants to be successful, Democrats want to win, they have to distance themselves from these Hollywood elites, because the Hollywood elites aren't prepared and they end up looking foolish with their statements. But I didn't get a chance to mention this yesterday, and I apologize, so it's a little bit old news. But our Congressman Nick Langworthy weighed in on Friday after this broadcast about the Supreme Court's tariff decision, saying President Trump deserves enormous credit for putting American workers and businesses at the forefront of his economic agenda. America First means fighting for fair trade deals and bringing manufacturing back to the United States. And tariffs have proven to be an effective tool to level the playing field and promote American products abroad. Sadly, right here in Western New York and the Southern Tier, we have seen communities hollowed out by the consequences of past so-called free trade agreements. While we all pause to examine the full implication of the Supreme Court's decision, this much is clear. The decision was strictly centered around the interpretation of IEEPA authority, not the merits of President Trump's trade policies, and he continues to hold several legal tools to achieve his objectives. It is incumbent on Congress to work with him to create the best possible trade environment for the United States. All right. So, speaking of that, just real quick, somehow I got on Representative Jasmine Crockett's media list. No idea how. I get her press releases, unless someone set me up with them as a joke. I have no idea. Representative Crockett introduced the Payback Act to refund Americans for Trump's illegal tariff costs. The Payback Act. The bill allows the Supreme Court's ruling in Learning Resources, Inc. v. Trump, which reaffirmed that the Constitution grants Congress, not the President, the authority to impose tariffs. Representative Crockett, who's running for Senate, as you know, said, quote, "These illegal tariffs drove up costs for American families. If Americans were forced to pay higher prices because of executive overreach, then Americans deserve to be paid back. It's that simple." The Payback Act requires the Treasury to develop a transparent refund formula, issue payments through existing Treasury systems, and report to Congress on the Act's implementation. Boy, that won't be ripe with fraud. I'm sure it won't go anywhere, but... All right, so there's a lot of things here to get to about the governor's race, about New York in general. First, on Friday's show, we had Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski, former congressman. And he and I both talked about this for just a moment. And if you missed that interview, you can find it at WYDCTV.com. You can find it on our YouTube page. But the breaking news is here. Mark Molinaro, who used to be a congressman, who was a gubernatorial candidate at one point. You may remember him when he faced Cuomo. Well, Mark Molinaro is attempting a New York political comeback, running for the state assembly following a stint in the Trump administration. So taking the same kind of trajectory as Joe Sempolinski, who was a congressman and then went to the assembly. Same here with Mark Molinaro. The former New York congressman and Dutchess County executive said Monday he had officially stepped down from his post as director of the Federal Transit Administration, which he served on just since August. Trump had tapped him for that job. He'd been doing it since August. Quote, "To some, leaving a federal leadership role to serve in a state legislature may look like a step backward. I understand that perception. Public service is often measured by titles or proximity to power and distant from the people. I take issue with that. Public service is about standing closer to families, closer to communities, and closer to the challenges that shape daily life." Molinaro said he would run in November for the 102nd Assembly District. That's occupied by fellow Republican Chris Tague, who will be vying for the state Senate. His potential return to his old stomping grounds had been widely rumored to be in the works since last week. Molinaro, who has served in some form of public life or public office for almost his entire adult life, he was the Dutchess County executive for about a decade and held an upstate assembly seat until 2011. He ran unsuccessfully for governor in 2018 and then went on to serve one term in the House of Representatives for New York's 19th Congressional District. He lost re-election in 2024 to Democrat Representative Josh Riley after one term in one of the most competitive and expensive races in the country. Molinaro is the last to sit in a game of political musical chairs around the 102nd Assembly District, a reliably Republican seat. Molinaro wrote, "Call it what you wish. For me, this is a comeback, rooted in a simple truth. The future of New York will be decided by those willing to fight for the families and communities counting on us." Tague currently represents the district but is running for the Senate seat, vacated by State Senator Peter Oberker, who is running for Molinaro's old congressional seat against Riley. Whew. Assembly Minority Leader Ed Ross said, "I can't imagine many candidates with a more impressive record than Mark Molinaro. He's deeply connected to the families, the communities, and the issues in the 102nd District. If you know Mark, you know what public service means to him. It's a homecoming a lot of people are excited about." All right, there we go. When we return, the Daily News. The Daily News is considered kind of a farther left publication. You've got the New York Post, which is deemed more conservative. Then you have the New York Daily News, which is more liberal. But even they are outraged about the decision by the courts to allow that redistricting of the one congressional district in New York City that is represented by a Republican, Malinakis. We talked about this with Maltakis, excuse me. I think I said it weird right there. We talked about this a little bit with Joe on Friday, but kind of an interesting opinion piece coming from the Daily News that I wanted to get to. We will have a little bit more here on the national front, the State of the Union. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Keep your comments, keep your waves coming in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Dodge Performance Days extended at Chilson Wilcox Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Last chance on 2024 Hornet deals. Get 0% for 72 months. Don't get stung.
Chilson Wilcox, selling cars a different way, the right way.
New York State nearly $60 million towards improving key roadways across the southern tier.
Many older homes are still at risk for exposing residents to high levels of lead.
The Nani Hood Parent Resource Center once again brought the community together for its annual Halloween parade.
Around the southern tier, Finger Lake stands out for its scenery and wine scene. This year's dry drought brought some positives to the crop. Lee Com Center is looking for fans to show up and show out.
The red, white, and blue oval. The Ford President's Day sales event is bringing deals on all the stars of the lineup. And they've earned their stripes as J.D. Power's most awarded brand for new vehicle quality. Don't miss out, because now's the time to capitalize. Right now, returning lessees can lease a Ford Explorer for $319 a month for 36 months, only at your local Ford stores.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We'll see some sunshine as we head through the day, winds staying light, but temperature staying cool. So we top off in the mid-20s. It's a good 10 degrees below average. In the overnight hours, additional snow chances possible, bottoming out in the teens. Temperatures will be rising above freezing on Wednesday with lingering snow transitioning to rain, and then another shot of snow is possible as we look at Thursday and Thursday night. After that, warming up nicely to end the week.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer regarding free trade agreements. Ross Perot had it right when he said, when he was running for president, quote, "Do you hear that sucking sound? That's the sound of jobs being sucked out of this country." Thank you very much. So New York Daily News, again, the editorial board, who you would, if you were going to label, you would label them kind of far left. They said the U.S. Supreme Court must today put a stop to a stupid last-minute congressional redistricting order from a Manhattan judge that will scramble New York's elections. It is all part of a Democratic effort to undo the state's superbly fair district map by targeting New York City's sole Republican member of Congress, Nicole Maltakis. The timing is critical because petitioning for candidates starts tomorrow. This was written yesterday. It actually starts today. Today, the petition season starts, so you can always get involved. And if the decree from acting Manhattan State Supreme Court Justice Jeffrey Perlman remains in place, there will be no congressional districts, as they must be redrawn. Not only will candidates for Congress, incumbents, and challengers not be able to collect signatures, no one will know where lines may be. It might be months. and statewide candidates will be hampered as they must collect petitions based on congressional districts, which will not exist. Whether or not Malatakis, who has represented Staten Island and parts of Brooklyn since 2021, wins another term should be up to the public, not the map makers. The constituency lines for Malatakis and the state's 25 other House members were drawn in a nonpartisan fashion by Carnegie Mellon expert Jonathan Service, who was appointed by a court as a special master after the Democrat legislature hijacked the process back in 2022 from the state's bipartisan Independent Redistricting Commission and concocted a map knocking GOP-leaning seats down to just a handful. And keep this in mind when we saw the media talking so much about this kind of gerrymandering and this redistricting in these states that Trump was trying to steal the election. New York has been doing this, and Illinois and California been doing this for a long time. New York was caught red-handed. They were forced to go with this guy from Carnegie Mellon, and now they found an activist judge, Jeffrey Perlman, who decided, no, we're going to change what is a very fair congressional district. Service produced a balanced map that favored neither party nor any incumbents, as the state constitution demands. In the 2022 elections, the Republicans did very well, winning 11 of the 26 seats. In 2024, using the same map, the Republicans had a bad outing, losing 4 seats to end up with 7. The lines didn't change. What changed were the minds of the voters, as it's supposed to work, as it's supposed to be. 2026 is predicted to be a good year for Democrats, so be it. Let them compete for votes with solid candidates and effective campaigns, not reworking the maps. After Texas, goaded by President Trump, wrongly enacted a mid-decade redistricting to maximize GOP chances, other states like California responded to maximize the maps for Democrats. New York, thanks to our state constitution, forbids mid-decade redistricting. So a phony baloney lawsuit was ginned up to claim that the Staten Island Brooklyn seat held by Malatakis unfairly treats black and Hispanic voters. It does not. And Democrats in the state legislature actually ratified this service-drawn map back in 2025. But that didn't stop them from suing 18 months later and trying to get it on the mid-decade redistricting game. Perlman should have said no dice, but he was suckered, and state courts have refused to freeze his order, so it lands with the justices in D.C. The Supremes allowed the Texas and California mid-decade redistricting to continue as partisan politicians in Austin and Sacramento practiced naked political gerrymandering, which unfortunately is permitted under previous high court decisions. But the argument behind this Staten Island case is racial, and racial gerrymandering is not allowed. If the Democrats want to beat Malatakis, put up a strong challenger and run a good campaign. Leave the current fair map alone. I thought that was kind of wild that that was coming from the Daily News out of New York, but a lot of people see it for what it is. Pure politics, pure gerrymandering. And that is why the U.S. Supreme Court needs to step in. But as I mentioned today, is the day petitions start? I don't know if we will see that happen or not. Now, right now, New York's 7 House Republicans are pressing for a face-to-face meeting with Governor Hochul to discuss the state's downward spiral, according to an invitation that was shared on with the playbook at Politico. The delegation sent the invite to the governor this morning, meaning yesterday morning, outlining how the dysfunctional relationship between Hochul and the delegation could impact efforts to secure a federal waiver that would allow the state to continue offering low-cost health care coverage to 1.3 million New Yorkers. The moderate Democrat governor, that's what Politico always says, who's up for re-election this year, publicly said she is looking to persuade House Republicans to deliver on state priorities at the federal level. But Republicans said she's done little to mend a widening rift in the relationship. Hochul spokesperson Jen Goodman said the governor wants to see the delegation focus on issues impacting their constituents. She did not say if Hochul will be scheduling a meeting with the delegation in response to the letter. Goodman said if New York's GOP representatives spent even half as much time fighting for their constituents as they do obsessing over Governor Hochul and writing ridiculous letters, maybe they would have voted to they wouldn't have voted to rip health care away from the millions of families. The Hochul administration shared 6 pages of correspondence between House members' staff and her staff, noting there are dozens more pages of proof of their outreach. Republicans said they want a direct line to Hochul rather than information shared between staff. So that was a quick update, wanting to meet with Hochul. It looks as if she is not interested. Also, we learned yesterday that Governor Hochul's team announced she's officially sitting out of the state's matching funds program in this year's race. Now, that matching funds money gets very high. You start to talk about some really serious matching funds. Now, if you're not familiar with what matching funds is, that means you and I are paying for a politician's campaign, even if we do not like that politician. So essentially, you would be paying for, not this year, because Hochul's not doing it, but you could have been paying for Hochul's race. It's for statewide office. You pay for assemblymen, senators. That means Hochul won't receive $3.5 million in public funds for her campaign. But it also means she won't be required to participate in a debate organized by the Public Campaign Finance Board. Now, her campaign confirms she will indeed commit to a debate this fall. We'll wait and see. We know Cuomo was really good at this, about playing games, about debates. Remember, he had every single candidate on the ticket up so that the focus wouldn't be on him. He'd have very little time to talk. She normally has at some weird time where you end up missing it. Now, she said she will debate, but if she accepted that $3.5 million, she would have had to debate. So you wonder, being subjected to the debate requirement would remove the long-standing ability of gubernatorial frontrunners to dictate the terms of their joint appearances with less-known opponents who hope to make waves. Andrew Cuomo invited every opponent on the stage in 2010, and it took several chickens on the New York Post's paper for him to agree to anything more than an 8 a.m. weekend radio debate back in 2018. 4 years ago, Hochul agreed to only one late October debate with Lee Zeldin after weeks of bickering over the terms of the engagement. So we will see. It sounds like best case scenario, one debate. But we have to take a break. When we return, looking forward to this, we're going to learn all about the Community Health Expo. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Then we'll read your comments. Keep this conversation going. What are you expecting from the State of the Union tonight? Let me know, and we will be right back after this.
With the games in full swing, stop in Hesselson's today and see why owning a sauna will bring calmness and stress relief naturally. Infrared, traditional rock saunas, and hybrid saunas. Hesselson's has them all on display in their expanded and remodeled showroom. Better circulation. Detox the skin through sweating. Feeling refreshed and rejuvenated. Now is the time to make every day better with your own sauna, starting at just $39.99. And remember, after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
My name is Abigail Lee, and I'm here with my friend, William Matar.
Nice to see you, Abigail. I love your outfit.
And I love yours. Blue's your color.
We're teaming up to help raise money for Build Promise, because when someone goes down, it's not time to give up. It's time to give.
Please donate now at BuildPromise.com. Any amount helps.
Help those in need at BuildPromise.com. That's BuildPromise.com.
When a child is fighting a critical illness, one truth touches us all. Every child deserves a childhood. A wish sparks a ripple of hope that transforms communities far and wide. And when we grant wishes together, we create a movement of kindness, strength, and unity. Yay! Become a wishmaker today and be part of a journey that truly changes lives.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We'll see some sunshine as we head through the day, winds staying light, but temperature staying cool. So we top off in the mid-20s. It's a good 10 degrees below average. In the overnight hours, additional snow chances possible, bottoming out in the teens. Temperatures will be rising above freezing on Wednesday with lingering snow transitioning to rain, and then another shot of snow is possible as we look at Thursday and Thursday night. After that,
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. And in that studio this morning, we're going to be talking about the Community Health Expo. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for being on.
Oh, thank you for having us.
I can't wait to hear all about this because this is unique because it's brand new. I've never heard of anything quite like this. So tell us about the Community Health Expo.
Well, one thing for sure is that we would love for anybody that's listening to this to come to this Health Expo. It's not limited to Corning. It's going to be at the Gregg School. It's going to be on Saturday, February 28th. And the reason why we're doing this is we would really love for people to understand what exists in our community in terms of keeping people healthy, having them focus on well-being, all those things. And we just want to bring them all together and have people create community around it.
Well, I was looking at the list of people you have involved. That's an impressive list.
Yeah, we're excited to be able to gather different health professionals, to have the involvement of educators, so LECOM as well as Corning Community College, their nursing students, my students from LECOM. I think it's going to just be a wonderful opportunity to get everyone together to be able to not gatekeep and to be able to disseminate health information.
Because you look at this, I mean, just wellness, disability services, health screening, it's all of this packed into Gregg Elementary School. Again, it's Saturday, February 28th from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m., excuse me. Where did the idea for this come from?
Well, it's a couple of different places. So I think last time I was on here, we were promoting a fundraiser for my sorority.
And that was great.
It was fantastic. I mean, we had such wonderful support.
And I don't always get handwritten thank you notes. Thank you for that. I saved it. That doesn't happen that I did. I've got it. I won't show everybody.
She's good for that. It was tremendous support. I really appreciated it. And so, having said that, we always give scholarships to students.
Right.
But we don't do anything in the community, and this is one of the things we've been talking about for about a year. And so we said, let's make it happen. So we started talking to Corning Incorporated, Michelle Johnson, and certainly Millicent Ruffin, and they said, we'd love to sponsor it and partner with you. We've been wanting to do something too. And Friendship Baptist Church is involved as well.
Oh, that's
it all came together.
And it's so valuable. We talk on this program so often about community. I can't think of something that if you're going to jump in and do something for the community, this could be the perfect thing to do, right?
Yeah.
So you said you've been working on it a year. How's the planning going now that you're just a week away?
I think we're in good shape.
Yeah.
And honestly, we've been talking about it for a year, but we really didn't start planning it probably about 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's going tremendously well. Michelle's leading the charge, and I think everything's in place for us to have a good time, learn a lot, get some screenings done, and have people focus on their health.
Yeah.
And
to have fun.
And to have fun.
Right.
Yes, don't forget the fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll have lots of services for, games for children. We'll have a couple of beauticians, barbers for
I saw that. I meant to ask.
Complimentary haircuts. So, what our goal is really is to have our patients and clients feel like they're being taken care of holistically.
That's right.
Well-rounded. I mean, you look at all of this: diabetes screening, personal training, branding and marketing, barbershop. I mean, you really. So, did you find when you first sort of announced that you were putting this together that people came to you and said, "I want to be a part of this"?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think as people are starting to get to know about it, we've had people add on at the last minute. And I would say, Dr. Vassal has definitely been one of the people that has been there from the beginning. She's been helping us with the planning, and she's certainly been spreading the word, so we've had more people add on.
Yeah, and so we've had mental health therapy also just kind of recently added on as a vendor. So we really want to make sure that we're hitting, are checking as many boxes as possible.
And how did you get involved personally?
Yeah, so, I mean, we have an interesting origin story. The long and short of it is that we both share kind of a similar health challenge background. And it was a little bit of a reverse situation, though, where Judy sat in my chair as my patient. And just having that conversation and being able to just talk about ongoing issues, we were able to, make a really big discovery.
A real big discovery for me. I've been diagnosed with metastatic pancreatic cancer. And so even now more than ever, I feel like there were so many resources and information I got from Dr. Vassal. She came on board. She shared her story about breast cancer survival. And I don't want it to make it about us and about cancer.
No,
however, we know the importance of community. We know the importance of access. We know the importance of making sure that people are not scared to talk about and go seek out help when they have health challenges.
And some people don't have the resources, they think anyway, to seek out that help. And here it all is in one place. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't normally get this opportunity. And like I said, I don't want to keep belaboring it, but you have so many things, even something as important that we've talked about on this program quite frequently, suicide prevention and awareness. someone to talk to. So this is such a great idea, and I'm sure you're proud of the way it's going because the communities needed this for a while. We just didn't know it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah.
And you... Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to add that, the other component that we don't want to be remiss about mentioning is even nutrition, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
And so having preventative vendors there, Juice Collective,
yes.
Who's going to be doing their wellness shot. It's just, again, trying to make sure that we're approaching this really from a holistic standpoint.
Now, if someone's watching this and maybe they're just hearing about the Community Health Expo and they want to be a part of it as one of the quote-unquote vendors, that's not the right word to use,
sure,
but
yeah.
Can they still get involved?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think we don't want to exclude anybody. I mean, my husband would probably be driven crazy. He's doing all the planning of the space.
Yeah.
But I'm
the
sure
website.
he would work with whomever wants to really be involved. So if they want to reach out directly through the website, certainly any information that you want to share, Frank, about how to reach us, we would be happy to entertain that.
And again, I want to stress the student volunteers from CCC and LECOM, free house screening, blood pressure, vision, hearing.
Oh my goodness.
You mentioned food, fun. But if someone wants to volunteer to help this because they see what a valuable service this is for the community, can they volunteer?
Absolutely. Just show up.
Yeah.
And this is why we're here.
Yeah.
We have all these vendors. We have all these volunteers. We need people to come and show up for this because it's incredibly important that everyone takes care of their health, from preventative to if something happens, where are the resources. We just want to spread the word and create community around this and have fun.
Yeah.
And food.
Because I look at this as just year one. This is just the first one.
Sure.
And we'll be talking again next year.
I hope
so.
Yeah, that's my thought. So before we go, for those just tuning in, who would you say the Community Health Expo is for?
Everyone.
Perfect.
Say that collectively.
They work
Everyone.
perfect.
We are trying to help everyone. And if you are just even slightly curious about anything that we're doing,
Please show up.
Yeah.
Just come.
Again, Saturday, February 28th, 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. at Gregg Elementary School. That is 164 Flint Avenue in Corning, the Community Health Expo. Thanks so much for being on the program.
Thank you so much
that
for
went
having
great.
us.
All right. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
New York State is putting nearly $60 million towards improving key roadways across the southern tier.
Many older homes are still at risk for exposing residents to high levels of lead.
The Nani Hood Parent Resource Center once again brought the community together for its annual Halloween parade.
Around the southern tier, the Finger Lakes stand out for its scenery and wine scene. This year's dry drought brought some positives to the crop. LECOM Center is looking for fans to show up and show out.
You may see a teen struggling to find his way. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we see a teen gaining the confidence and skills to land his first job. You may see a child wrestling with hidden battles. We see a child learning to manage life's twists and turns. And where you may see a distracted teen, we see teens making a difference in their community. Kids today need people to see their potential and help them achieve it. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we do whatever it takes to help kids succeed, from fostering confidence and community to preparing them for graduation and beyond. Because when we see young people, we see limitless possibilities. Do you? Join us, Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures start here.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We'll see some sunshine as we head through the day, winds staying light, but temperature staying cool. So we top off in the mid-20s. It's a good 10 degrees below average. In the overnight hours, additional snow chance is possible, bottoming out in the teens. Temperatures will be rising above freezing on Wednesday with lingering snow transitioning to rain, and then another shot of snow is possible as we look at Thursday and Thursday night. After that,
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Marcus Street, Corning. Thank you to Judy Rowe and Dr. Vassell for being our guests. Find out more at healthexpocorning.com, healthexpocorning.com. All right, we got a lot of comments here. Let's get right to them. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning to you. All we can do is hope that the Democrats do not act in an appalling way that they did last year's State of the Union. Even John Fetterman says he hopes that his Democrat colleagues don't act like they did last year. It was pathetic. They wouldn't even celebrate a child who survived cancer. Great show, Frank. Thank you very much for that nice comment at the end. You're exactly right. The people that they won't celebrate is sometimes the most frustrating. When that young man, my goodness, what a touching story. We learned so much more about him after the State of the Union. Well, technically joint session. And they couldn't stand for him. It just goes to show you how, base that's become, how it's not even just politics. It's just a pure hatred. So, yeah, I'm glad you refreshed our memory on that. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. As fate would have it, I caught a couple minutes of The View yesterday. Yikes. Did you know that they're experts on tariffs? Actually, they seem to be experts at everything. If they smiled more, Trump would probably put them in his cabinet. Thank you very much. Yes, experts on, it's amazing what they're experts on. Comment from a different viewer. Love him or hate him, Zohran Mamdani is putting on a socialism masterclass in New York City. The city is drowning in debt, $300 billion in total liabilities. Mamdani proposed a jaw-dropping $127 billion budget for 2026. For contrast, the entire state of Florida has a budget of about $117 billion. Rather than cutting government spending, Mamdani tells residents that he has no choice but to raise taxes on the rich or raise property taxes on everyone. Yeah, 9% property tax increase. He, of course, never presents spending cuts as an option. We talked about this with Joe Sempolinski on Friday. Meanwhile, despite mind-boggling levels of spending, public service continues to deteriorate. Mamdani asked people to sign up to shovel snow. Garbage piling up in the street. And New Yorkers, and I'm giving them an unpleasant surprise when the snow melts. That's the thing with socialism. The results are the same every time. Bigger promises, higher taxes, and ultimately decreasing ROI for the citizens who pay their taxes. The rich will move out of the city, no spending will be cut, and the working class will be on the hook for the bill like they always are. Yes, there's actually, of all people, Fareed Zakaria on CNN. Return on investment. ROI meant return on investment. I didn't know what that meant. CNN host Fareed Zakaria blasted blue cities like New York and Los Angeles for their, quote, out-of-control spending. This was on Fareed Zakaria's GPS on CNN. Pretty shocking. But he said New York is really a prime example of a problem Democrats seem unwilling to confront. Blue cities are out of control, promising more, spending more, delivering less, and pushing off the fiscal problems to some future date. He specifically talked about Mamdani trying to raise a 9.5% in property taxes on a $127 billion budget. Zohran Mamdani's basic instinct is correct. Focus on affordability, especially housing, but not by providing government subsidies, Zakaria said. Well, that's the problem. Zohran Mamdani ran on affordability, but the affordability was your money, the taxpayers' money being used. It wasn't actually about affordability. That's why that talking point became very kind of almost obnoxious at points, because it's not what he's talking about with affordability. He's talking about handouts. And then he talked about some specifics with busing and like that, but they will bring in more people, expand the tax base, fill the schools, and increase local GDP, and then they will make the budget affordable. For Democrats in city halls, there is a choice. Stop governing as if the goal is to announce new entitlements, and instead make government work. Safer streets, functioning schools, predictable sanitation, and above all, enough housing that the middle class can find a place to live. So that coming from, of all places, CNN and Fareed Zakaria. All right, so tonight, is the State of the Union. Now, a lot of people are suggesting this is an opportunity for Trump to kind of boost his polls, kind of a way to campaign ahead of the midterm. I know the midterm is quite a ways away, but you've got to turn around according to the polls and take it with a grain of salt. The polls aren't looking the best for Republicans, so this is maybe a way to save the GOP majority. It's going to be a long speech because we have so much to talk about, Trump said. Now, keep in mind, last year his speech to Congress, 1 hour, 39 minutes. Is it going to be longer than that? We have a country that is now doing well. We have the greatest economy we've ever had, he said. So it's going to be a lot about the cost of living. He's expected to recite positive news from his first year back in office. How do you think he's going to handle, and he'll talk about obviously closing the border, and rightfully so. How do you think he handles, because the Supreme Court is normally there, maybe not all of them, but you have some Supreme Court justices there. How do you think he handles the recent tariff decision? Probably talk about Maduro. New York Post asked, the combative chief executive will speak to a tense room with Supreme Court justices expected in the front row just 4 days after they struck down his reciprocal and fentanyl tariffs, casting pending trade deals into doubt and likely forcing the Treasury to return $175 billion. Trump could hardly contain his anger on Friday, ripping 3 Democrat-nominated justices as a disgrace to our nation. He called out the Republicans, too. Now, I thought it was a good start to the kind of the week to have that tribute to the Angel families yesterday. A number of Democrats, to the viewer who sent this in earlier, a number of Democrats are skipping the speech, including Senator Adam Schiff. Okay. So you're still going to have some people that skip because they think it's going to give them a lot of attention. It probably does help them with fundraising. Because you have kind of those in the far left that will donate to someone like Adam Schiff because they see him as fighting the man. The conventional wisdom going into the address is that Trump should stay disciplined in communicating to the public that he is working to address their concerns about affordability issues. A GOP congressional official said Republicans want the president and the White House to focus more on affordability and the economy. Republicans like policy-wise what Trump is doing. They just want him to be focused more on an economic message. A Republican campaign source working on midterm races urged Trump to keep it simple and avoid repeating claims that affordability is a Democratic hoax or saying he already won on the economy. Trump needs to focus on selling his accomplishments and talk about what Republicans have done for affordability. I don't think he has to get too creative here. I don't focus on Supreme Courts too much with the tariffs. That's about it. Another consultant, wow, there's a lot of consultants involved in the midterm races, said the number one thing the president should do or could do at the State of the Union that would benefit GOP candidates across the country is to make clear that his focus moving forward isn't on foreign policy, but instead on fixing the domestic economy, raising wages, and creating jobs. The perception that the Trump administration isn't focused on the economy here at home because they're too focused on foreign countries is a real drag on candidates in swing districts across the nation. Do people actually feel that? That's an interesting question. I have not thought that. I mean, I think you could make an argument that many people are saying that they wish he did more when it comes to Iran after promising the people of Iran. But I'm not really sure that's the perception. I haven't heard that people think he's doing more internationally than he is domestically. Now, they're going to go through the polls. We don't need to go through all of that. The speech comes at a low point for morale among House Republicans who hold a 4-vote edge and are beset by internal tensions, as we've talked about numerous times. I think most House Republicans are just trying to survive the slim majority, saying that there are not good vibes right now. Now, the question that people have brought up all morning long about kind of the hecklers that we've seen in the past, will there be the normal kind of a temper tantrum, for lack of a better word? Just a decade ago, interrupting the president was considered a shocking breach of decorum, but is now common behavior, making Republicans nervous and Democrats giddy. Donald Trump will reduce a high-stakes international speech into a cheap Atlantic City lounge act, playing to radical partisan diehards while the rest of the world cringes, predicts Robert Zimmerman, a Democrat National Committeeman. Okay. It'll be less commander-in-chief, more Real Housewife Teresa Giudice meltdown. Okay. Now, last year, you'll recall Al Green tried to interject the president numerous times. They finally escorted him out, but Trump didn't take the bait on that. Whether Trump can resist a more emotive and pointed interjection is unclear. Knowing that Trump is actively beefing with most of the Supreme Court and that they will be front row is going to be fun to watch, said a Biden White House official. The Democrats were called enjoying lots of booze and pizza at the White House while watching Biden's performance, including heckling by lawmakers and guests in 24, 23, and 22. Biden chose to engage with his critics in some instances. The speech ultimately depended on the energy in the room and what people decided to stand and clap for, and Biden was always advised not to engage with hecklers, but that's honestly when he's at his best. Biden was? Okay. Now, here's what you're going to see this talking point tomorrow, so just buckle up. The State of the Union is almost certainly the beginning of the end of his presidency, the start of his lame duck status. His polling numbers are awful. The redistricting war that he initiated has blown up in his face, and he's picked yet another unnecessary fight with the Supreme Court. You know what the sad thing is? That's coming from a Republican consultant. It looks like he's about to start a war with Iran that seems impossible to win without boots on the ground. Republicans are likely to lose a Senate seat in North Carolina, and who knows what happens in Texas. Republicans are losing every special and off-year election to date, pointing to a 2006 blowout, and now, as we saw over the weekend, he's endorsing primary challengers to incumbent Republicans in tough House seats. That's coming from a quote-unquote Republican. Oh, I just heard the Corning whistle. That means we got to take a short break. There it is. Part 2. We got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
New York State is putting nearly $60 million towards improving key roadways across the southern tier.
Many older homes are still at risk for exposing residents to high levels of lead.
The Nani Hood Parent Resource Center once again brought the community together for its annual Halloween parade.
Around the southern tier, Finger Lake stands out for its scenery and wine scene. This year's dry drought brought some positives to the crop. Lecom Center is looking for fans to show up and show out.
Do you have fever? Are you dreaming of warmer weather? Now is the time to start enjoying the benefits of hot water therapy during Hesselson's Cabin Fever Reliever Hot Tub Sale. With 0% interest financing and additional sales incentives, Hesselson's makes it easier to start making every day better today. Huge savings on odds and end models, 0% financing, locally owned and operated since 1955. Why wait? Now is the best time to buy that hot tub you've always wanted during Hesselson's Cabin Fever Reliever Hot Tub Sale going on now. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We'll see some sunshine as we head through the day, winds staying light, but temperature staying cool. So we top off in the mid-20s. It's a good 10 degrees below average. In the overnight hours, additional snow chance is possible, bottoming out in the teens. Temperatures will be rising above freezing on Wednesday with lingering snow transitioning to rain, and then another shot of snow is possible as we look at Thursday and Thursday night. After that,
the Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's go to some viewer comments. Rick writes in, good morning, Frank. Good morning, Rick. Well, Trump is going to raise the global tariffs to 15%. Hasn't he figured out that tariffs, A, raise costs, B, raise inflation, C, lowers popularity across the board, and D, the Supreme Court will tear the tariffs down again? Well, old Motor Mouth has the State of the Trump address Tuesday night tonight. I won't be watching. If I want to watch someone bragging live for 2 hours straight, I'll watch a rerun of last year's Trump of the Trump address. Comment from Mark, I think Trump will put the Supreme Court people sitting in the front in their place. He doesn't pull any punches, and they deserve a scolding. Thank you, Mark. Ken writes in, the blue states need more money to operate because the Dems need to enrich themselves by laundering money through special interest groups, and it costs a lot to feed and house future voters. A comment from a different viewer. I hate to say it, but it would be less distraction if the Democrats sit it out. It's disrespectful when they choose that platform for their antics. Yeah, I mean, when you see Adam Schiff and others not coming, yes, they get attention for themselves, but really at the end of the day, it's such a long event on top of the amount of speech time that I'm with you. If you're just going to try to interrupt it and make it last even longer, just make your press release that you can't be seen at the State of the Union and you're going to stay at home, and that will get you coverage as well. Adam Cankren from CNN says Trump faces a skeptical public and a myriad of challenges ahead of the State of the Union address. Would you imagine a headline that says that before the State of the Union for, let's say, a Joe Biden? It is his highest profile opportunity to convince skeptical Americans that his policies are working and that a promised economic golden age is right around the corner. But ahead of the State of the Union address meant to mark the unofficial start of the midterm campaign, even Trump seemed unconvinced he had a shot at changing many minds, saying, quote, "If I came up with a cure for cancer, they would say he should have done it years ago. There's not a thing I can do where these people are going to give me credit." That's true. Now, Matthew Bartlett, a GOP strategist and first-term Trump official, said Trump has but one no, which is rage. I'm not sure that's somehow going to change or that he'll find some sort of pitch-perfect tone for the American worker. Yeah, these outlets found a lot of Republicans sure do not like Trump. He'll be touting the big, beautiful bill. That should come as no surprise. Affordability, some of the main topics that you can expect. It will be, despite Trump's sustained polling declines, his advisors have been buoyed by Democrats' inability to rebuild their brand, arguing they may need only to effectively portray the midterms as a choice, I should say, between the two competing visions. Trump is likely to lean into that contrast between the two parties on Tuesday on a range of issues, talking up his push for a voter ID measure that he's claimed has broad public support, touting progress on crime in the southern border, and portraying his various foreign entanglements as a part of a push to reestablish American dominance around the world. After overseeing the ouster of Maduro, Trump will travel to the Capitol this week amid deliberations over attacking Iran. On Monday, Trump indicated that lengthy agenda would take a while to get through, as I mentioned. It's going to be a long speech because we have so much to talk about. How long, here we go, before we go to break, how long do you think, listen to CNN taking this one dig at the end. Despite the spectacle surrounding the State of the Union, it rarely makes a lasting dent in the nation's broader political dynamics. Second-term presidents historically lose credibility, and they never get it back. How long do you think it's going to last now? Do you think Trump will beat the hour 39 record he set last year? Do you think it'll be under? I've got a feeling it's going to be more. Don't you? We got to take a short break, and then we're going to wrap up our discussions. Keep your last-second comments coming in waves. And don't forget, on tomorrow's broadcast, we'll be talking with Steuben County Sheriff Jim Allard. So do not miss out on that. Get your questions to me at a time. If you don't mind, you can text them in live, but sometimes it's easier, and we don't miss them if you text them ahead of time. So Sheriff Jim Allard will be joining us tomorrow at 7 o'clock. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Mental health and learning disorders don't discriminate.
I was about 11 years old when I started realizing there was something a little bit off.
17 million children and adolescents in the United States live with disorders like anxiety, depression, ADHD, and dyslexia.
Even the tiniest things, I was so terrified.
It literally feels like you're living in a black hole.
Less than half get the help they need to succeed and to thrive.
My life has changed tremendously since I've been given the tools.
My child needed help. She got it. Look at her now.
When I grow up, I want to be a doctor and help kids find their brave voice, just like the Child Mind Institute did for me.
Help the Child Mind Institute change these children's lives. Visit childmind.org.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We'll see some sunshine as we head through the day, winds staying light, but temperature staying cool. So we top off in the mid-20s. It's a good 10 degrees below average. In the overnight hours, additional snow chances possible, bottoming out in the teens. Temperatures will be rising above freezing on Wednesday with lingering snow transitioning to rain, and then another shot of snow is possible as we look at Thursday and Thursday night. After that, warming up.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, getting ready to wrap up today's edition. Comment from a viewer: I'm not sure if that they dislike President Trump so much, rather they have a much bigger love of money and payouts. Well, if you don't go to the State of the Union or you do cause a ruckus, you will be able to fundraise off of that. The New York Post said that there's a lot that Trump can tout in his speech. He secured the border almost instantly, cutting the illegal migrant inflow by more than 90% and soon close to 100%. and so debunking Democrats' years-long claim that the job was impossible without new laws. Over Democrats' objections, Trump's big, beautiful bill prevented the economy killing tax hikes and provided new tax cuts on tips, overtime, Social Security, etc. to benefit working folks. His energy policies produced plummeting prices at the pump and put the country back on path to abundant, low-cost power. Crime plunged stunningly, with 2025 seeing the largest single-year drop in murders on record and the lowest murder rate in 125 years. Even before his inauguration, Trump got Hamas to agree to a ceasefire. We know that. And there's some other highlights that we could mention, but we're nearly out of time. Above all, Americans are still nervous about the economy, unsure if it's truly climbing out of the hole that Biden dug, wondering when it'll stop feeling like they're still losing ground. That's why they need this address in the end to be about them, with the president laying out credible cause for hope. That leaves no room for any of Trump's own grievances and demands some clear, if subtle, signs he understands the public worries in the wake of scenes like the chaos in Minneapolis. One good way to deliver that is to repeat his longstanding support for legal immigration, for America welcoming new entrants who can help build our better future. Sending the chaotic Biden illegal surge home goes hand in hand with welcoming a regulated legal influx. With an eye on the midterms, Democrats will continue doing all they can to sow anxiety and sour the public mood. Enough pessimism, and they might even manage to derail or delay the recovery. By reassuring the country in his State of the Union, Trump will serve his party's best interest as well as the nation's. Now, don't forget, Abigail Spanberger is going to be responding to Trump's speech. The 46-year-old Virginia governor, the first female chief executive of her state, was Hakeem Jeffries' pick to rebut the State of the Union address. The one-time CIA officer doesn't talk in slogans or catchy promises, once instead describing herself in an interview as an optimistic, starry-eyed pragmatist. Okay. We will see how that goes, if any of you can actually make it up that much later. There is a lot of pressure to the rebuttal. There really is. It's hurt quite a few careers through the years if you're not, because they build up the person to be the new kind of face of the party or an important part of the party. So if you don't hit it out of the park, it can come back to haunt you. Okay, quickly, the U.S. military aircraft did land in Israel as Netanyahu warns Iran of quote, force they cannot even imagine. We will respond with a force they cannot even imagine. Now, the report came out that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff warned Trump of a deep and serious risk if the U.S. strikes Iran, so we'll be keeping a close eye on that. But that does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you to everybody who joined us. Thanks for the lively conversation. I want to thank Judy Rowe and Dr. Rashida Vazel for coming in and telling us all about the Health Expo coming up in Corning. Find out more at healthexpocorning.com. And it's this Saturday, 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. at Gregg Elementary School. So we appreciate them being on the program. Again, tomorrow, Sheriff Jim Allard will be joining us. So make sure you tune in bright and early and get your questions in ahead of time. Also, if you do stay up late, if you want to do a little play-by-play, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the State of the Union after the fact. We'll read those on tomorrow's broadcast. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll be back tomorrow morning with Frankly Speaking. I look forward to it already.
Allegiance flight from Elmira to Myrtle Beach starts May 22nd, 2026. Whether it's a weekend escape or a week in the sun, Myrtle Beach is closer than ever. Non-stop to sun, sand, and seaside days. From takeoff to toes in the sand, your coastal getaway starts right here at Elmira Corning Regional. Mornings on the boardwalk, afternoons on the golf course, and evenings with oceanfront dining or a flight away with Allegiant's new direct flight. Starts May 22nd, 2026. Book now at AllegiantAir.com.